Hi everybody, welcome to Thermomixing Adventures. I'm Lisa and today I'm showing you how to make Anzac slice in your Thermomix. I do have some hints and tips to make this even faster and more efficient for your time, and even ways to double it. So come along and I'll show you how to do this today. The recipe is on my TM6 and it is on cookiedoo.com.au. So let's get started straight away. Preheat your oven, yep, got that happening, and grease a tray that you want to use, or maybe some mini muffins. They work as well, so long as you can press them down well. Set that aside. Now the first thing it normally does is combine our dry ingredients, and this is my first tip. Go past that, go straight to the heating of the butter and the sweetener, and then go back and add the dry ingredients. So normally they would combine these dry ingredients. Let's just skip through and I'm going to come back to them later. I find you don't need to do that now, because normally you would transfer those to a bowl and set aside. We can just skip that. So here we go. Let's get started on this. Now it says 150 grams of butter. Now I'm all out of butter, so I'm going to use coconut oil and keep it dairy free. So in goes 150 grams. It's quite a decent amount, but you'd be, if you're putting in butter, you know how much that is. It's not something you'd normally worry about, especially in things like Anzac biscuits and things like that. So 150 grams in this goes. If it was summer and my butter was, coconut oil was solidified, I probably couldn't get away with this so much, but because it's solid, it's winter, it's cold, it's probably going to be perfectly fine. Well, it will be perfectly fine as an alternative in there as well. We will often swap the coconut oil for the butter. Oh, look at that, spot on tonight. All right, next. 2 tablespoons of golden syrup. I'm going to use honey, but any liquid sweetener will do, and I'm just going to guess. So I reckon that's 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. Normally you guys would hear me say that you can use your scales to weigh liquids. However, honey isn't the same. It's not the same as water and vinegar and things like that. Even oil can be heavier or lighter. I haven't checked it when you're doing it in weights. So let's put the lid on, and now it's going to take 2 minutes to warm this up and melt it. Being that it's coconut oil, it's not going to require that full 2 minutes, and if your butter is super cold, you will require more than 2 minutes. So just keep an eye on it. Take off your measuring cup, tilt that out, have a little look in there, and wait until it is fully melted. Once you've got it fully melted, you're ready to go back and start adding those dry ingredients into it, rather than wasting a bowl and setting it aside. So mine is actually nearly done. The beauty of coconut oil, it does not take much for that to melt. So these are also beautiful if you want to add things like sultanas or chocolate chips to them. That will work perfectly fine in this beautiful recipe. It's very much literally like Anzac biscuits in a slice form. However, one little tip at the end. When you get them out of the oven, don't be tempted to try and cut it. This needs to be fully cool before you are able to cut it. So don't try and skip that step out, otherwise it will crumble. And if it does crumble, for some reason you end up with a crumbly mess, do not let it go to waste. You guys know never to let food go to waste. If there's something that doesn't work, you pick up the phone and you ask me, how you can use it better. In this case, I would say put it on some yogurt. Crumble it on some yogurt, put some beautiful fruit on top of it, whether it be fresh or some cooked pureed fruit or stewed fruit, and use it that way. So don't let anything go to waste that comes out of your Thermomix. Alright, my stuff will be melted down by now because it's coconut oil. It doesn't take much for that to melt. So now we're going to go back. We're going to go back to those dry ingredients. Here we go. So first things first, 180 grams of plain flour. Now I'm using gluten-free, so for those of you gluten-free, you can certainly do that without an issue. 180 grams, in it goes. This recipe also doubles beautifully, so you just have to extend things like that heat up time. So let's see if I can get 180 grams. Oh, look at that. Don't you love it when it uses the end of a packet in one go? Okay, next up, 120 grams of rolled oats. You guys might notice that we use rolled oats a fair bit here. It's a really good way for me to keep my boys full for longer. So, and at this stage, they're actually gluten-free rolled oats from Honest to Goodness in Sydney. So there are some that you can get that are gluten-free. There's a lot that aren't though. Okay, in that goes 120 grams of rolled oats. Classic in Anzac biscuits. Soft brown sugar. Now, if you don't have brown sugar, never fear. Use rice. Don't use rice. Use raw sugar if you'd like. I'm using a monk fruit sweetener, which is a low carb sweetener. Use whatever you like, but you can't skimp. You cannot skimp out on your liquid sugar or your powdered sugar, because otherwise it won't set. These are the things that bring this together. There is no eggs in it, so it does have this sweetener in it to pull it together, to bind it. A bit like a syrup, I guess you could say. Okay, there we go. Whoops, a little bit heavy. Okay, shredded coconut. 2 ingredients to go. This is perfect for when we're on the road because it is so simple with the ingredients. It's very basic ingredients that we just have stock standard in our pantry. In this goes 70 grams. Nearly there. And then on with the lid to stir through. Now we're going to actually skip ahead now because remember, this was going and doing your dry ingredients. So we're just going to jump ahead and we're going to add our 1/2 teaspoon of bicarb and our little bit of water. Once we've got these 2 ingredients in, we're actually done. That's all it takes. So the bicarb gives it a bit of I think it's a bit of a combines it, helps it combine and stick together. 2 tablespoons of boiling water. Now we can weigh that in, by the way, that will be right. So 20 grams in Australia is a tablespoon. So we want 40 grams of liquid in there, or close enough to. And now we're going to put the lid on, and this is going to come together beautifully. This is it. From here, it's pushing it into a tray and getting it to combine. Now we may need to extend this stir time because we did do it in a little bit of a different order. So we may need to, you see, look, reserve oats now go in. So we may need to do some more mixing. Here it goes. Let's have a look at that though. Actually, it's not too bad for a first go. Check that out. So let's stir it through. Again, this time it's reverse, speed 4 for 5 seconds, and then we'll have a look at it then and see how it looks. Next, scrape down the sides. It wants to do another stir. We might not need to. We may actually be done. No, we will scrape down the sides. There is a little bit of shredded coconut up the sides there, or desiccated coconut, sorry. Push it down, get that mixed in, and then we're ready to press this into a tray, and it's going to go in the oven. Remember that tip though, not to cut this until it is cold. You will regret trying to cut it when it's hot, because it will just crumble. It will just crumble, and then it's perfect, as I mentioned, on yogurt and things like that. Transfer mixture into your prepared baking tin. Push it down firmly, important step, otherwise you will find a crumbly mess at the end. And bake for 15 to 30 minutes at 160 degrees. Done. Allow to cool in dish before cutting and into squares and serving. So that is the beautiful Anzac slice ready to be put into the oven. I hope you'll give this recipe a go. It's the perfect one for on the road because it's all your basic pantry ingredients into the Thermomix, making delicious food from anywhere. Please subscribe to the channel below to keep up to date with the videos that we're doing on the road from all around Queensland. Take care, and I'll see you soon.